All right, so you are going to want a little bit of room, something to support you if you like that. Um, a lot of times I have a stool here, a desk, a non-rolly chair, even a wall can work as a support object here for what we're doing today. But to get started, we're just gonna get big and then get small. So you can take this any direction that you want. You could even leave your arms out of it. Maybe you have just one shoulder that's grumpy, just do the other arm. But you're just going to get big and then get small. If this is restricted to one part of your body, maybe you're getting big by standing up really nice and tall and then getting small by crouching down. However you can do this to make it work with your body today, try a few ways. So we've got sort of the star position and then getting small. And we've got a letter I position and then getting small. Maybe we're going to try and get as wide as possible and then as narrow as possible. And then I keep stepping to this side. Maybe I should go for a little variety this way. Awesome. One more, get big. One more, get small. Try and get as small as you possibly can. Beautiful. That's our little warm up for today. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do an exercise that's really great for posture, and it's tucking your chin. Sounds very, very easy. We're trying to feel this in your upper back, your mid, lower trapezius even. So I'm tucking my chin, drawing the back of my head back in space. And one thing that helps me feel this better is if I check in with my shoulders and draw my shoulders back at the same time. So go ahead and try that. Natural posture, tuck your chin, sort of that double chin position. And then draw your shoulders back in space, opening up through the front of your chest here, and then release. Now, if you feel it better without the shoulders, that's possible. Go for that way. Aim to feel the muscles along your spine, a little bit below the nape of your neck and down, maybe in between the shoulder blades. That's where we want to be feeling it. One last chin tuck and release. So now we have a complementary stretch that will help open up the front of the body. The chin tucks strengthen the back of the body to help us stay upright. And we're going to do a stretch that has the hands behind the head, dropping the shoulders, and elbows coming back behind us. So we're trying to open up through the front of the body. It can also help to look up a little bit as you're doing this. If you have lower back issues or you don't have balance that's that great, it could help to have something behind you, be sitting on something. So the full expression of this stretch would be for me to have my hands behind my head, drop my shoulders as far as I can, elbows back, and look up. Really thinking about reaching behind me with my elbows and taking a deep breath or two here and coming out. So especially the first time you do things, it could be nice to come in and out. And then when you feel safe and ready and comfortable, then you go into the full stretch. And you may notice that when you take that really deep breath, that expansion of your lungs expands your rib cage, and you feel the stretch a little bit bigger, a little bit more a little bit differently. So one last one here, hands behind your head, check in at all your checkpoints, dropping shoulders, drawing elbows apart and behind you, and opening up through the front of your chest by looking up slightly. Deep breath and release. Beautiful. Take a few shoulder rolls here. That can be really great for helping those muscles be able to slide over each other. The fascia coating the muscles can get quite sticky if we're in one position too much of the time. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is a little bit of lateral bending, and to warm up for that specifically, I'm just going to reach to the side and then to the other side. I did step my feet a little bit wider apart here, so I have a nice wide base to work from. And I'm engaging through my core. So as I reach up and over, that could put my core in a little bit of a vulnerable position. I'm lengthening through the spine, drawing my abs in, lifting up through the pelvic floor, and engaging that meat corset that goes all the way around here to give my spine some support. Now I can check in with that in this position, check in with the core engagement here, and then check in with that deep core engagement here as well as I go back and forth. Now you can go at your own pace here. You could go inhale, exhale, inhale, probably a little bit slower than that. Or you can hang out here and take a deep breath or two and then come back to the center, do a shoulder roll, reach to the other side. Get in a good pause, deep breath. See if you can reach over a little further and then come back to center. But you want to be choosing your own adventure based on the feedback that your body's giving you, where you feel good, and where you feel like, oh, that's a great, good old morning stretch, rather than, oh, that feels terrible. It's a terrible stretch. Whenever you're done with these side reaches, I'm going to reach both arms up overhead. I'm going to bend the right elbow and reach down my back here. And then I'm going to hold on to my right elbow with my left hand and just use that left hand to help me into that stretch a little bit more. From here, I can play with the stretch a little bit by experimenting, bringing that shoulder up towards the ear and then down away from the ear as much as possible. Taking a few deep breaths. Seeing if I can come into the stretch a little bit more. Help myself reach down my back a little bit further. And then if I'd like a little additional treat for my body, I can tip over to the left. And that can help get a little more movement out of that right side, change the stretch a little bit more. Beautiful. Now we're going to reach both hands up, bring both arms down, do a couple of shoulder rolls. Sometimes when we're in one position, it can feel like, oh, there's a kink that needs to be worked out. And so when you have those little wiggle moments, it can help with that. Whenever you're ready, both arms up. We're bending the left arm now, holding on to the left elbow with the right hand, and then just using that right hand to help me into the stretch. I'm reaching down my spine with that left hand, and I'm trying to keep my head upright. So if you notice that your head wants to come forward a lot, try and become a little bit more upright. Play with that shoulder position, your left shoulder, so see if it feels better up by your ear, or if you're getting a better stretch a little bit lower, or maybe the perfect stretch for you is in between those two positions. And whenever you're ready, if you would like to, we're going to tip over to the right, just to extend to that left side a little bit further. If you want to wiggle in slightly and out slightly, that's fine. We don't want to bounce though. We don't want to use like momentum to force the stretch to go further. Beautiful. And whenever you're ready, arms all the way up, all the way down, and take a couple more shoulder rolls. Hopefully that feels really good, especially now that we're out of this stretch. You should feel a little bit more light and free. We're gonna use our stool, desk, maybe even your own knees, the wall, whatever your prop is. And I'm gonna have a quadruped kind of a position here. So if it's better for you, you could certainly be more at a 90-degree angle through your hips, but any sort of remotely quadruped position will work here. So don't extend yourself beyond what is great. I'm going to take my left hand. It is coming off the edge of my stool here so that I have room to reach for the floor. And I have room to reach for the ceiling. If I was using my knees, I would just do the same thing, reaching lower, getting a little twist here. So my left shoulder is definitely lower than my right. And then reaching for the ceiling. If it causes you to cramp in your neck to look up at the ceiling, you don't have to do that. We are trying to get a little bit of the stretch, deeper into each twist. Each time we go up towards the ceiling or down towards the floor. And I will say this is definitely easier, more comfortable, steadier if you have a prop. Now, the next time you're reaching for the floor, I want you to just hang out here, see how close to the floor you can get, see how much you can twist. Try and take some really deep breaths in. And then on the exhale, see if you can twist just a little bit further. One last breath here. And we'll go ahead and do the other side. So I'm going to reach for the floor, and I'm going to reach for the ceiling. Trying to be mindful each time. See if I can get a little bit further into that position. Beautiful. And now the next time you reach for the floor, see if you can just hang out there. Get the biggest twist possible that's comfortable for your body. Check in with your breathing. Try and stay in that twisted position. Take a really deep inhale. Then on the exhale, see if you could twist just a tiny bit further. Lovely. So the next thing we're going to do is still in this quadruped position. If you have a stool, that will be great. If you have a wall, that will also work. Because what we're going to do is we're going to drop the left knee and just let the hips twist slightly there. Well, let me back up. I want to tip my pelvis down until I'm feeling a slight stretch in my hamstrings. If if you're flexible, you might be quite low in this position. If you're less flexible, like me, you might be up here a little bit more. Now, once you have that slight stretch in your hamstrings, coming from the top of the pelvis, tipping down, we don't want your back rounded here. We want the top of the pelvis tipping down. I'm going to bend the left knee to get a little bit change in that stretch, and then bend the right knee. Just going back and forth. If this isn't a comfortable stretch for you, you could always stay hanging out in that forward fold kind of position. That can also feel really nice. But this is a piece of movement variety that does not get the love that we could sometimes benefit. After you've gone back and forth a few times, with that extended hamstring position, we're going to do a little bit of a hip flexor stretch where I have my right foot forward, my left leg back, and I'm tucking my pelvis. So tucking my tailbone under to feel a stretch in the left leg's hip flexors. So the leg that's going back, the front of that leg should feel a stretch. And you can, of course, take a larger step to make it a little bigger stretch. You could also tuck your pelvis more. And it can also help to reach your left arm up and over slightly. This is an area that's tight and weak for a lot of people, so there can be a lot of benefit in stretching it, but you do want to make sure that you're feeling it in the right spot. And whenever you're ready, we'll do the other side. So I'm taking my right leg now. I'm stepping back with the right leg. Left leg is coming forward. I'm tucking my pelvis, making sure that my hips are both facing the same direction as my toes. And then I'm adjusting the stretch to the point that it feels right. So I'm feeling it right here, sort of in the crease of the hip, maybe extending down the leg slightly, maybe extending up slightly. But this is sort of the center of the stretch. And then I can bring my arm up and over as well. Take a few breaths here. And whenever you're ready, you can come out of it. That's your stretch break for today. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Take care, everybody.